Welcome to Backstage Pass with David Nash, where the curtain lifts on the real entertainment industry. From the studio to the stage, we sit down with world-class producers, artists, engineers, and music business professionals shaping the sound and strategy of today. This is an insider's look at how careers are built, hits are made, and the industry really works. Let's go backstage. Now, here's Dave.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Backstage Pass with Dave Nash, an insider's look into the music industry. And with us today, and I'm really excited about this one, guys. This is cool. This is Tony Hammons. Tony is the former drummer for the band Montgomery Gentry, rock and roll, country, whatever you want to call it. But they're one of my top 5 country bands of all time, and it's really a privilege to have you here today.
Well,
Tony.
Thank you so much.
How you doing, man?
Appreciate it.
I have been a huge fan. I was a fan of yours back in the 80s in the rock and roll days, playing the clubs around Lexington, Kentucky.
Awesome.
Watching the Bad Guys at Brass A Saloon. And just one of the greatest cover bands in time. Let's take this all the way back. So you are a drummer, great drummer, and you got that from...
Yeah, from my dad.
From his dad.
Yeah, family. You inherit it. He was a drummer, and he grew up. His dad was also a musician. And then Dad had toured with Brenda Lee when he was in 1969.
Oh, wow.
21. And so we lived in Warren, Michigan at that time.
Really? I'm
and
from
Dad
Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Warren, Michigan, we were there shortly. I was born in Corbin, Kentucky. Started from the very beginning.
Yeah,
birth. I was born from Corbin, Kentucky, but I was always around drums. I always remember drum sets being around. It was just I thought everybody had drum kits.
Didn't
they? And so, anyways, Dad was always influenced by his music. He played a lot of the music he enjoyed. He was more of a big band drummer, Buddy Rich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he loved
Billy
Cobham.
Not a bad influence as he had.
Oh, he had the chops of him. And I remember hearing him listen to drum solos and on radio. I'd listen in the floor as a kid. Grew up in Lexington, and then we moved around a bit. Dad played for a few years, and then became a Lexington police officer. He was Fayette County. They had Fayette City and County. So he got out of music, and then he had his drums. He had his drum kit he had with Brenda Lee. There were Rogers set, which I still own.
Old Woodies.
And they're beautiful, the silver sparkle. And that was his kit, Zildjian cymbals. And so those were always set up, and he always played, but he never showed me to play anything.
Right.
They were just there, and I observed how he played and mimicked him.
Now, was he a lefty? Because Tony's lefty, and he plays open-handed.
Well, he was a righty, and that was one of the reasons why
That's why you play open-handed.
Yeah, because he began, when I began to play, and he says, okay, you can kind of play, and then he's like, well, so don't switch the drums around. It's going to be a nightmare. He said, play like this, or so I did for a while. I was playing righty, normal, as you would think, and then I would play the ride cymbal like this, or I would switch over and play it like that.
Which is hard.
Until one day I was looking at Dad's records, and there was a Billy Cobham album, and I see pictures of that cymbal's over here.
Yeah.
The ride cymbal's over to the left.
Yeah.
So I went,
it's an epiphany.
Man, that's incredible. So that's when I started playing open-handed.
Right.
I didn't know that's what it was called, but it was natural for me.
Cool.
And so that's how I've always played. And then my son plays. I have 2 sons.
Evan Hammons.
And they're both drummers. Evan, my oldest, he's the same way. He plays open-handed.
Now, Evan's a touring drummer, isn't he?
He sure is. He played with a lot of artists, and he's playing in Lexington right now, and mainly with a really good band, Paint Creek. And I think they're going to do great. So he's going to be a dad coming up, and I'm going to be a granddad.
Whoa!
Yes.
Tony Hammons, great dad.
It's a moment.
Finally.
So anyway,
it's got to be a boy. It's to be a drummer.
That's happy. So
although Rush did hire a new girl drummer.
Well, that's like I said. Well, here's the deal. My dad never forced me to play. I never forced Evan to play, and my youngest son, he had the ability to play, but he just didn't want to. And my brother, same way, he had the ability to play, but just didn't want to do it.
Right.
So I was being like, no, you don't force anything, because they'll hate it, and then if they want to play, they'll play. So that's what happened to me. I enjoyed it.
And you came up through the ranks of the Lexington music scene.
Yeah.
I remember back, I guess, early 80s is when you really started getting out.
Well, when I was living in Corbin, Kentucky, my parents lived in Corbin. I went to University of Kentucky, went to Knox Central High School, and went to Corbin High School growing up, Dixie Elementary. And then we moved around, but we settled in Barberville, where my parents were from, then in Corbin, Kentucky. So then I began to play with some friends in that area. And then in high school, had a band called T.F. Much, David Lundy, Mike McWilliams. It was our first band.
The band.
I drew the skull logo before, and this was before Iron Maiden came, you know. So
There
I
you
was
go.
drawing these little skull logos and looking wicked, and we were just playing Cat Scratch Fever, you know. So in a way though, David at Lundy, his studio, his dad had a studio, and then we were playing there, and David was a drummer too, a real good drummer. So I learned a lot from going in that studio at 16, 15, and we just cut and whatever, and learning, and I learned from David on that, how to play more than just playing fancy solos.
Right.
So coming into Lexington when I was in UK, I remember getting out and seeing some bands, people that I would later play with when I came to Lexington, because I got out of UK, do graphic design, and that's always been a good plus with music. You know, have someone on the side with it, and Dad said, you got to have something to fall on, you know. And so that was my thing with that, and it's been still.
When is like the first big break band you had in Lexington? Was that the Bad Guys, or was there a band prior?
Well, before that would be Charlie's Garage.
Charlie's Garage.
When I came in, and my first kind of real band, when I joined.
Now tell them who Charlie is.
Charlie Crow plays with Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
And then there was other versions. Everybody in Lexington had a band at that time. They went on the road with somebody in Nashville.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Kevin Marsh, you know, it was Richard Marsh. Well, John Michael, leading to what came with Eddie Montgomery and Montgomery Gentry and Troy. That scene prior to that was all these musicians working in Lexington. Club scene, Doug Breeding. Without Doug, none of us would have done nothing.
Exactly.
You know, he's a man.
He's the guy. Badass.
It's just those kind of people, man. That helped us.
They
helped everybody.
In this scene, dude.
They let us do our thing.
Yeah.
And, they let us, evolve and get good, because everybody was pretty good. So you had to hold your own at least, you know. But we learned from each other. And so then we supported each other, and everybody was playing, and, you know, but we thought, we're from Lexington, Kentucky, nowhere, you know. Not to say
nobody's going to listen to us.
But to us, musically, man, we need to be in Nashville or New York or Chicago or LA. And so then, when the time came, we started jamming. John Michael took off first.
93.
You know, a lot of people.
91, 93.
That was his first, yeah. He was at Austin City. And so we were at that. This was in the 90s. And then Charlie Crow, we had Charlie's Garage Band going. Before that, I replaced Tim Tuning. This is still one of the greatest drummers I've ever heard.
Tim played with.
He was with Faith. Was he with Faith a little bit, maybe?
Yeah.
I know. Trisha, Trisha.
Was it Trisha?
Some of them, man, there's so many people that plays with
so many
artists. I mean, Tim, he could have with everybody, man. He could play with whoever he wanted.
Great drummer.
But Richard Marks, you know, he did some stuff with Richard Marks, with Kevin Marks.
Yeah, Kevin
playing guitar. And they had Quadra, and there was Charlie's Garage.
Yeah, man, those are good bands, guys.
Yeah, everybody was post-college bands, and then people started getting married and started doing stuff. Yeah. And then these other bands changed, and then Bad Guys evolved, and Bart Bowers, Frank Bowers, and Andy Bowers. And we began to play. We'd play all the college parties at UK.
The bars.
And that was when you could really kind of make a living playing college parties.
Oh, yeah,
those
absolutely.
were great.
Yeah.
You know, the Simicas and the KAs. We just had a blast. It was great.
So it was more fun than God should allow.
It was. What was the golden age? You know, Cats were winning a lot then.
Oh, yeah.
Reed, Tino brought them back.
We were in that set because I was playing with a band called Citizen Kane back then.
It was an exciting time, man.
Fun,
in Lexington, a lot of great bands, and then the original scene emerged. You know, you had the Rockledge, and I remember being in the Rockledge, and Soundgarden came to town. They pulled up in a old van. You know, it was like a Ford van, and Chris gets out, the lead singer, and he's walking in, and I had played with another band and had left my drums and was picking them up, and I was at the bar and talking in the day, and then Chris, he says, hey, is there a good place to get a burger? And we're like, yeah, across the street. Of course, we don't know who he is. Yeah. So then Matt Cameron, the drummer, comes in, and same thing, it was a good place to eat, guys. We're like, over there. So then we talk, hey, where are you guys from? Who are you? We're like, oh, man.
We're some band called Soundgarden.
They did. Yeah. And they said, we're driving up to Seattle, and they gave us, the Louder Than Love CD.
Really?
Yeah, it's not signed, but I still have the one that Matt Cameron gave. Yeah. So that was, Primus played there. So there were some cool underground things happening. And then, of course, you had great original bands, Velvet Elvis. And those bands were great. They should have been, it's just been location. Yeah. Seattle, a scene comes through, and so the 90s
Remember, what was that song, TikTok? Remember that? Was that a Velvet Elvis song?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So there was some good stuff, man. And then you had the country scene happening. And then with country now, leading to Eddie and Troy. So we started, Eddie had been out with John, and then Eddie, we always knew he could sing really well.
Oh, yeah.
And Eddie played drums for John Mark.
Yeah, all things.
And he was great. Eddie was a really, cross-stick drummer. There was nobody better than Eddie. He played hardcore country. he knew how to do it because they lived it with his band.
Their parents,
you know, and then so they lived that. So that was a good straw, and we jammed with them a lot. Charlie went out with John Michael and Tim Tuning, and they toured. They were like an open door to the world. Like, hey man, this is cool.
Look what we found.
Yeah, they were like, all right, man, you know. So it gave us some hope, and then we got the same opportunities through Eddie and Troy, and we kind of bonded and rehearsed in Troy's basement. Then when we go down to Nashville, we start doing showcases, and then it was like subsidiaries of Sony, you know, Columbia. And then Lucky Dog was one. I think the Dixie Chicks had just become a huge success, you know, prior. And if I do remember, man, I remember before they had come out, though, this was 96 or 7 maybe. We were already trying to make this work at that time. They had interest. And so anyways, they had been to Nashville, and they were talking about what was coming. Is the album going to be released? And, you know, we had questions, and we were working on material, but it was stuff that they didn't really use. But we put the band together, and we did showcases. So then each label that saw us said they liked it. Then the next level said, we'll see it. Finally, Sony said, well, let's just sign them. Yeah. And it was like a timing thing. Well, the Bricks and Dunn was on the beginning of the first of it, you know, like a roller coaster slide.
Sure.
And it was perfect for somebody to come along. The judge had left, so the duo thing was good.
And you guys were coming with a sound that was a little bit different than what Nashville was doing. I mean, you guys were driving. Well, you had a lot of rock and roll players in the band.
Well, you got to give Eddie credit for this, because what that changed to was, I mean, in the beginning now, when they started putting songs together, they had, I think, Byron Gallimore. He was Faith Hill's and producer, Tim McGraw's, and he was, you know, he had all these number ones.
Right.
I think they got him aboard, and then they had some songs they did, and they really sounded like Alan Jackson, you know, really country. Somewhere I've still got that tape. And I remember Eddie did not want to do that. He said, you know, man, that's just not what I want to do. He didn't see himself in that position.
Right.
So I think they were going to drop him, and then Joe Scaife and Anthony Martin at the label said, hold on, you know, let's give the project to us.
Yeah,
these are like Charlie Daniels kind of guys.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can do with that. So then we got affiliated with Charlie, and it worked out great. So that was our natural, you know, we were just heavy metal, southern rockers, playing country. And luckily everybody had a good, we were round up enough to adapt and you know.
What was the first single that broke it?
Hillbilly Shoes was the first single.
Was that it?
Single, and that was a bluegrass song.
Yep.
And they switched it over, and then see now on the records now, see Paul Lime, when I was there, Paul Lime played on the first 2 records. Paul was on Star Wars. I mean, these are master musicians. You know, they go in and not hear a song and play an hour like they play it their whole life.
Yeah,
and kill
exactly.
it. And come up with the most incredible drum fills.
And then you got to duplicate
it.
it.
It's not just, you know, it's just something like, what was that? And you have to figure it out. So those were good challenges to learn from them. And seeing Paul, we got to watch him record. We got to understand the whole thing. You know, hey man, you guys are a great live band. So as time went, you know, we played together, and the more you play, the better you get, and then it becomes autopilot. And with that said, they had a good live show. We had a lot of background experience playing clubs.
Sure.
So
you were in the trenches.
And we knew what was going on. We were hungry for it. You know, everybody played their part, man, and we did really feel good. And it was great. We were friends. You know, we got along pretty good. And traveling's tough on you. You know, you have moments when you
guys
don't
travel.
want to be there.
How many months a year were you touring?
Well, the first years we were gone a lot. I think we did almost close to 200 dates.
Wow.
Give or take.
Wow.
And then it got better. You know, you usually rotate when you had success. You'd go 6 months on and 6 months off. You know, you work the summer, be off during the winter, and it was a good trade-off.
So you guys, is this correct? You guys did all 50 states?
Yeah, we did all 50 states.
And countries. Tell them some of the countries, because this kind of freaked me out when you told me.
When we first went to Canada, it was awesome.
That's a normal country.
Yeah,
But that was cool.
Well, to me, I've always loved Canada.
Yeah.
To me, I loved all the great bands from Canada.
Yeah,
Musicianships up there from there. So anyways, we went to Canada. Then we went overseas to Germany, Kuwait, and Iraq for the troops. And we did that, and that was 2006, early 2006.
Right.
And that was pretty wild. That was a really cool experience.
Playing in the desert.
Yeah, man, we got to see. We were in green zone, safe, you know.
Really?
But we got to be out there. We got to be right there, and we saw some incredible things.
That's cool.
And meet some incredible people. And you know, so USO tours are great if you can do them. You know, if you're in.
I'm not doing them. I'm 65.
Yeah. Well, the world's changed a lot since we were over there, for sure. But again, you know, it's just great, man. We've got to see a lot of great places, meet a lot of great people. and overall,
Absolutely.
So that's
let me ask you this. So you spent how many years with Montgomery Gentry?
Well, let's see, man. We started around 90-ish. I can't exactly remember, four-ish. And then I played until about 2010, right at beginning of 2010.
What was the biggest venue?
Man, the biggest venue, we played most all arenas, and what was shocking to us really was when we first went out, we were playing out west a lot, opening for a lot of people. First year, you're going out one day, you're playing an arena, next day you're playing a small club.
Right.
And it's just how you're building your audience and opportunities. So we hooked up with some good people, and we played the new basketball arenas that were built out west, and they were really huge, especially the upper areas,
Right.
So we had this big, huge panoramic view of it. And then also, we're huge basketball fans at UK, and we always love Rupp Arena, and so all of our favorite bands are Rupp.
Absolutely.
And so it was sacred ground. You're like, man, we're going to get to play Rupp.
You guys did some stadium stuff, didn't you?
Well, we did. And it came later. It was through Kenny Chesney, which helped us. Again, we did a lot of good tours with people. Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney.
Skinner.
Well, we did some shows with Skinner. We'd love to have toured with them, but we did some shows with them. It was awesome, meeting all those guys.
I think you told me a story one time a few years ago about how you actually talked to one of the guys that was actually on the plane when it crashed. Was that true?
Yeah. There was a DJ that we met after a show in Atlanta. I mean, he was a DJ, but he was one of the original crew guys.
Really?
With Skinner. And he showed us he had a scar on his chest.
From a plane crash.
He told us about the plane incident, what he remembered, and then I think when we did Crossroads with Skinner on CMT, there was a moment where some of the crew Gary Roston kind of mentioned some things out of the blue, and we were just talking a little bit, and then he said some things, and they were similar to the point of, that really must have happened.
Yeah.
And so anyways, it was pretty, for them to go to that level and discuss that was pretty like, wow, man, so it was, the history of this was cool, and you got to meet all these great people, people you looked up to, and then you're in a little area, and when you're on the side, you're inside, but so it's really tough, man, because it's not going to last forever.
No.
My drumming heroes, I get to meet a lot of
they're
them.
dropping.
And it's cool, and then get endorsements, endorse Ludwig drums, Sabian cymbals.
So you've been a Ludwig guy?
Always.
Yeah. I was looking at Amazon before I came into the studio today. I was like, man, I really wish I had a Ludwig hat.
Oh, yeah.
I was back in the 80s, I played a Ludwig classic kit. It was like 12-piece kit. I mean, I had the hair.
Well, sure,
it was a monster kit. Well,
that was Rogers. I mean, that was during that time, the early 70s. Cause Dad had his first kit was a Ludwig kit. It was a 5-piece gold sparkle kit.
Yeah.
I remember that's the first kit. I was 3 years old, trying to climb up on and pulling a hi-hat down and making a bunch of noise and freaking out. And I'd watch the Beatle cartoons because Ringo was my first favorite drummer, of course.
Yeah.
I loved, Ticket to Ride. That, as a kid, that's that whole boom, blah, boom,
do you, and this is probably an impossible question, but do you have a favorite drummer? Or top 5, top 3?
Yeah, man, we all do. People that you looked up to the most, and for different reasons.
Sure.
There's no one greatest drummer.
No.
There's many great drummers.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's just like a mixing pot of everybody. Really, I love everybody. I can't really say one direct, but people that influenced me was Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa and Billy Cobham,
Great.
Tony Williams on the jazzy side.
Right.
They were more just forceful. Not that I understood it. It's just I like that. Man, they really put some power behind their playing. But they can play with the most incredible dynamics on the other side of that fence. But then the rock drummers is where I became a fan, and the first drummer I remember, Led Zeppelin, Bonham. And then,
that shirt he's representing.
And it was the sound of how he played was like, man, I like that sound,
Yeah.
And I was young, and then was getting into music. Dad was into at that time. He was really into Chicago and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So Danny Seraphim was one. I remember listening to him a lot, and then Bobby Colomby with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So those drummers had rock, jazz elements, and I liked that too. So then Mitch Mitchell with Hendrix, then Ginger Baker. And then I started noticing double bass because Dad's Rogers drums was 2 bass drums. So I was always around double bass.
That's cool.
And then I started hearing how people played them, the singles. Louis Bellson, Dad loved Louis Bellson too.
Louis Bellson.
So I just gravitated toward drummers that had 2 bass drums. So I said, if they got 2 bass drums, I'm going to check them out. So that led to, rock guys.
Right.
And Tommy Aldridge, number 1.
There you go.
He was with Black Oak, Arkansas first, but then later Pat Travers, and then Ozzy. which I saw actually twice with Randy Rhoads, one of which the last night in Knoxville, he was alive. Anyways,
Wow.
saw all those great concerts. Tommy Aldridge, Neil Peart, of course, with Rush. Peter Criss at Kiss,
Really?
Neil Smith of Alice Cooper. Those were the drummers. Ian Pace of Deep Purple, Barrymore Barlow with Jethro Tull. Those cats is who I was really listening to. Terry Bozzio with UK, and then Missing Persons. Bill Bruford, Phil Collins.
Man, this list could go on forever.
Yeah, well, and that's what I first listened to between 10 and 17.
Yeah. That's
some
some major influence on the young
there was so
drummer.
much music just blasting out. It was endless, and buying records, and then bands like Mother's Finest from Atlanta, B.B. Queen playing drums. He's just super awesome. I got to meet him, become a friend, and it's those are cool things, and they're good. They're just beautiful people.
What advice do you have for the 13-year-old who's bugged his parents for a year now to get him a drum set and to get into what we call the music business?
Yeah.
I mean, what advice do you give the young guys?
Well, as long as you love to do it, and you're not wanting to do it for instant fame, or like, I'll get rich, or people will like me if I play drums, it's not going to last. You need to love the music. You need to love the drums to a point of dedication. You have to spend 8 hours a day at least sometimes to practice. Do you want to do that all day?
Are you teaching now?
Yeah, I do. I give lessons. Yeah, I work at the Drum Center.
Give a
in
plug.
Lexington.
Drum Center, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, but I'm not teaching there. I teach privately. I'll go to you.
Okay.
Some people are more comfortable learning on their own drums.
Sure.
So I try to cater to that, and it works good.
So
They feel
private
more
lessons,
comfortable.
you can check out Tony Hammons. You can find him. Do you have a website or anything like that?
Well, right now, you
no.
can find me on all social media.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You're
So you can
everywhere.
find me on social media.
Tony's
and-
omnipresent.
Yeah, Facebook, you name it, TikTok. So I do some just little videos in there, nothing special, and just for the fun of it. But I play local, a bunch of people record, whatever,
He
So-
plays everywhere. He's always playing. He's never
Yeah,
stopping.
playing,
How many
playing.
kits do you have? Because I've
Got
seen
two
your
boys. Yeah,
how many?
two boys.
How many kits?
Oh, how many kids?
Yeah, kits.
Yeah,
I've seen
okay.
your room. It's sick looking.
Well, see, Ludwig supplied me with mini drums.
Many.
And they did well, I've still got all of them. And then drums I've collected, my dad's drums,
You don't even know how many kits you have, do you?
Well, there's probably about 12 kids total, and I've got a beautiful studio behind the house.
Yeah.
My wife's Kimberly built, and it's beautiful. So I hang out, I have an office where I do my art, do my drum solo stuff, and practice, and
Favorite
work on the
heads.
drums.
Favorite heads. You turned me on to Evans Reds.
Yeah. Well, man,
What do you
I
play?
like them all.
I'm sure you play all, but
Yeah, it depends. It's apples and oranges.
What's the sound?
What's your sound?
Yeah, what do you do?
When I was on the road with Montgomery Gentry, I was using Ludwig coated heads. They were in between Remo and Evans in terms of thickness. They were single ply, but they had a different kind of coating on them. They had a unique mellow tone to them.
Right.
I like that. So I was using them extensively. I still have a lot of them that they sent me. Todd Trent took so good care of me during in that area, and Bobby Booz and Chris Stanky from Sabian Cymbals. Chad Vanellini, Brandon Leaney of Vader Drumsticks, and when you're working like that, man, you go through.
still
this
using
stuff.
Vaders?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I got Vaders. I like 'em.
Yeah, man, they're the best sticks. They really are the best sticks, and to me, I played many, and then how I got onto those was Scotty Hawkins, was a drummer for Reba McEntire for years. He was playing for Brooks and Dunn, and while we were on tour, I was having issues with the brand I was using, and it was just breaking immediately. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he said, man, take these, try these, and they were a pair of Vaders.
Right.
So I took them home and practiced with them for a year. And I remember playing.
Still got
them.
those sticks.
Well, actually I did. But I put them back for the reason they were the first ones I tried, and they even made the drums sound better. And I think it's how they cure the sticks, a little bit more moisture to the wood, so they don't splinter as much as you would normally. Some sticks just.
Yeah, I've not seen them
Yeah,
split.
man. You can take a drink.
Go ahead.
My mouth is.
That's
just
a
dry.
shout out to L81. That's a Kentucky soda pop for you
Dang,
people.
lips are sticking to my teeth. You ever had that happen?
Your lips stick to your teeth?
Your lips stick to your teeth and try and make a
I don't know that I've ever had
and
that.
it sounds like
I had that happen in the 80s. It's
If drummers do that constantly, man, you have to. See, playing drums is like in a gig, man. You're playing and you've got all these things that's going through your mind, keeping time. Then the weirdest things will come in your brain, and next thing you know, you're in the chorus. And you don't know. Oh, is this the second chorus
or the first chorus? Oh shit,
And
I
then
don't
you're like-
know till I hear it, or somebody tells me where I'm
Yeah,
at.
or if you do a drum fill and everybody gives you that look,
Yeah,
like,
because
yeah,
I've
that's
wandered
right.
off into some psycho land. It's like,
That's the best part of being a drummer, though, man. But no, that's great. I like being a drummer and just having
We
fun.
get to watch everything too because we're in the back.
Exactly.
So it's like, hey, look, oh shit, look what's going on over there. Oh, shit, this is cool.
Well, it depends on the gig. I mean, most time you really focus. If you have to deal with cues,
Yeah.
or if you have to deal with samples, yeah, man,
Yeah.
you really have to have
Well,
your
yeah, you
head
got that
straight.
going on.
Yeah, because it's not pretty if you don't.
Guys, we are almost out of time, and I hate this. I could talk to this guy for probably 2 or 3 hour podcast, but we try to keep it about 30 minutes with our intro and outro. You can find Tony Hammons on all social media platforms. If you've not checked out Montgomery Gentry, you're sitting in some cave somewhere where you don't have any access to any kind of radio or whatever.
Well, you can get on my YouTube channel, subscribe to it. I've got a whole bunch of vintage Montgomery Gentry
Yeah,
concerts. I've got drum,
Stuff you don't see normally, too. And he's
Yeah.
got a lot. You got a lot of tutorial stuff, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're that young drummer that's trying to figure out how does this all work, check out Tony's YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. Call me up and come
It's
over and give you
Hammons,
lessons.
Hammons, right?
Yeah,
no D.
Hammons.
Yes, Tony Hammons. Montgomery Gentry, man, it's cool as shit to have you here. And
Hey, man.
we can,
Thanks,
we
Dave.
can cuss.
Appreciate
we're,
you,
we're
brother.
trying to maybe hook up another guy from the band. We'll talk about that if it happens down the road.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But, man, totally appreciate you. Hail to Tony.
Well, thanks a lot,
One of
man.
my favorite
Enjoy
country
everybody.
music bands. You guys catch us next time on
Peace, everybody.
Backstage Pass with David Nash and Insiders Look into the Music Industry. Thank you, guys.